This is what they call a heartwarming family reunion. You got that right.
Devil May Cry 3 is a prequel to the first Devil May Cry game and was released in 2005 on the PlayStation 2 by Capcom. Hideaki Itsuno returns to his role as lead director for Devil May Cry 3, but this time is given more creative control and much more time to lead the development of the game. Because of that, Devil May Cry 3 actually feels like a complete game, which really can't be said about the first two games. But I don't want to mince words at all. This is the best game in the series. This is the one you have to play. Thankfully, DMC3 is also the beginning of the timeline and functions as both a prequel to the first game and a soft reboot for the franchise. Itsuno took this opportunity to tell a pretty compelling standalone story and to reset the expectations of the fans of Devil May Cry. Now, for the first time in 3 games, there's actually a full story this time. Every mission has a cutscene or two which gives players something to enjoy after completing every mission, some of which are much more harder than others. Now that sounds really basic for a single player video game, even in 2005, this one has a really cool setup. It's kind of a one night in hell concept which actually alluded to the source material that the games are based on, that being the Divine Comedy, but the twist is more like hell is being brought to earth. Dante is about to open up a kind of exorcism service where he accepts contracts to go to places and kill demons that are haunting these places, but you would never know that by the look of his home. To be honest, it looks like he lives out of a bar, with lounge furniture and bottles of alcohol all over the place. Some old guy named Arkham shows up, and right after that, his entire bar gets destroyed by a group of demons that Arkham probably brought with him. This is the only motivation Dante needs to get involved in this demon invasion of his little slice of Americana, now that he's officially homeless. Now Dante wants revenge against the demons that demolished his house until he finds out that the demons were all summoned with a demon tower named Temen Negru by his twin brother Virgil. Now Virgil summoned the tower to take their father's most powerful sword, but he needs Dante to get involved as well. Another great addition to the game are the new characters. The new girl this time around is a mysterious lady who seems to be related to the demon invasion and is apparently a vehicle for a lot of John Wick style gun fu. She's also kind of racist towards demons, but other than the main character, his father, and Lucia from the second game, every demon seems to be a bloodthirsty monster, or at the very least, a backstabbing traitor, so her attitude is kind of justified. There isn't much more I'm willing to say about her other than she's way better than Trish in every possible way. And while she goes through her own character arc that is pretty decent, all things considered, I do think the reason she's so popular among fans is really just because this game in particular is also so popular. The other new character in this game is Virgil, and from this point on, he's kind of the biggest deal. Virgil is kind of a rebooted idea from DMC1 and Kamiya, not to say he was an original character to begin with, being based on a fictional account of an actual real person, Publius Virgilius Maro. Virgil in Devil May Cry 1 was killed as a child along with Dante's mother Ava, and his ghost was forced to work as his killer's silent henchman.
You're the man who lost a mother and a brother to evil 20 years ago.
Along with like a half-naked demon clone of his mom. Now you might be asking, if Virgil was killed as a child with Ava, then how come he's alive in DMC3 if DMC3 takes place before DMC1? The answer is simple. Itsuno created a plot hole. Well, I guess you can see this as more of a retcon. If Dante was able to escape getting killed by Mundus as a child, why not Virgil too? So now he survived and will get killed and possessed by Mundus after the events of Devil May Cry 3. Was this change worth making the story of Devil May Cry 1 even worse? Yes, totally. Virgil is a way cooler villain than Mundus ever was, and DMC1 already had a notoriously poorly written story before this retcon. DMC3 and the series as a whole will benefit so much from having Virgil as a rival and foil to Dante, and this game might just be the best example of that. Throughout the entire game, Dante and Virgil have this red Oni, blue Oni trope that plays perfectly into the rival dichotomy. The red Oni, blue Oni trope is a kind of Japanese way of saying fire and ice, but referring to the personalities of people more so than the color that they're dressed in. It usually means a pair of characters where one is wild and passionate and the other is calm and calculating. You can see where this is going. Dante likes babes, Virgil likes books. Dante likes bling, Virgil likes dressing in ascots or dressing like Fred from Scooby-Doo. This is an incredibly strong choice from both a narrative and an art direction. One that's influence is seen in every future game in the series other than Devil May Cry 4. This game also really resets Dante's personality again, and this version is usually depicted as the classic version of the character, even though it's not actually the first version. Again, other than Devil May Cry 4, every future game in the series will characterize Dante as this anti-heroic rebel that begins to care about other people, or at least humans, from the events of this game onward. And personally, I really love this version of Dante. He's very cool in both a laid-back and over-the-top way, usually without going into full cringe. Well, with the exception of one early scene where he skates on a rocket. I always thought that was pretty corny even as a kid, although one of the future games will redeem the scene in probably the coolest way, and I will talk about that in my Devil May Cry 5 video. Dante just has so much effortless riz in this game. He's chill, he's flirty, serious when he needs to be. He's like an actual full character this time, and that's so refreshing after how lame he is in the first game and how little he talks in the second. Even though I love the story in this game a lot, and I really love how Itsuno has asserted his position as the main brain behind the franchise, this isn't all that original either. What if I wanted to tell you a story about two albino half-demon brothers that both inherit a powerful sword from their demonic father, but spend the length of the story fighting over the third most powerful sword? You'd think I'm talking about Devil May Cry 3, right? Wrong. It's a synopsis of the third Inuyasha movie, Swords of the Honorable Ruler. And honestly, it doesn't stop there. Both Dante and Inuyasha exclusively wear red and learn to care about humans after meeting a girl. Now, moving on to gameplay, this game is so much fun, like way more fun than the last two games. Now, that isn't to say the game doesn't have its own problems, and most of these problems are the same ones from before. The fixed camera is still awful and pretty unnecessary. Almost every 3D hack and slash on the PS2 had a controllable camera as a basic component. I genuinely cannot think of a reason why you can't really control the camera in this game. But for the most part, this isn't really that much of a problem because most rooms are small enough that you won't get lost in. However, DMC3 also introduced what is probably the most notoriously hated room among fans, the cube room. And there really is no reason why you can only rotate the camera 90 degrees in this room, even though pretty much every fan agrees that a free camera would improve this room drastically. In general, the rest of the platforming sections are frustrating, but in this game's case, usually just for optional bonuses like health upgrades and extra red orbs. But it can be really annoying to lose as much time as you do trying to get everything in a level, only for it to lower your mission score because the game thought you took too long. It feels kind of stupid and counterintuitive. But even though DMC3 gets dragged down by some of the same pitfalls and complaints about the first two games, it offers so much more exciting action-packed content. Dante has access to the most amount of weapons in this game, and they're all pretty great. Well, the melee weapons are all great, at least. Rebellion is back and bigger than ever, showing off Dante's strength. Ebony and Ivory are still the most iconic guns on the PlayStation 2, constantly working as a vehicle to show off Dante's finesse. This time around, Dante is able to take the souls of defeated bosses and turn them into new weapons. This is a great way to mark progression throughout the game, as well as fleshing out most bosses beyond just the basic dialogue like in the first game. Having said that, like in most Devil May Cry games, some bosses are better than others. Gigapede, Doppelganger, and the Leviathan Heart are some of the easiest bosses in all 6 games, but all of them have pretty interesting designs. But Cerberus and Agni and Rundra are particular high points as both weapons and bosses, turning into a pair of nunchucks and elemental sabers respectively. Not only are both weapons so much fun to play around with, but both are some of the most fun boss fights in the entire series. And then there's my actual bae, Nevin. What a sexy enemy and weapon. To be honest, Nevin as a weapon is a lot cooler in concept rather than execution, being a vampire woman that turns into an electric guitar that also turns into a scythe, which probably makes her one of the most memorable boss fights in the game and definitely makes her the most memorable weapon in the game. And to make that even cooler, every melee weapon equipped changes Dante's devil trigger design. For the Persona fans out there, each devil trigger form is designed by Kazuma Kaneko. For those of you who don't know, Kazuma Kaneko is the lead artist for the Shin Megami Tensei series, of which the Persona series is a spin-off of. This is because of a crossover deal between Capcom and Atlus where Dante from Devil May Cry 2 would appear as an optional boss in Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, which came out around the same time as Devil May Cry 3's release in Japan. Completing the game for the first time will unlock a playable Virgil campaign for the player. This is actually Dante's campaign recycled, and admittedly this feels kind of half-assed. It's so cool to play as Virgil with all of his different moves and style, but the multiple Virgil boss fights are kind of the same, but against Virgil in a red coat so you can pretend he's Dante. Having said that, DMC3's Virgil mode is a particular high point and a fan favorite aspect of the original trilogy. Now, I know I've been glazing this game for the past 10 minutes like it's actually the greatest game of all time. And for me, there was a time that it actually was. And I know that's heavily colored by nostalgia. I remember having so much fun when I used to play this game as a kid. I couldn't wait to hear the final bell for last period ring. I would walk my girlfriend to her bus, smoke a blunt with my friends, and skate home. Then I'd play Devil May Cry 3 until I fell asleep. That was in 2007 for me. And I still think it's the best game ever made.